Another day in the MLB here, and the work begins. It always does here on the Splash Play channel. We're today going to compare my projections to one of the industry leaders out there, our friends over at Stokastic. We'll see the top plays are, who the top pitchers are, who the top hitters are. We'll also go get game by game. We're actually going to do both slates today. So early slate first, 7 p.m. slate second. We're going to go game by game for both of those. 2 3-gamers today. It's the MLB. They have to make it difficult on us. We'll hop over to Stokastic, run some sims, who the top ROI lineups are for that early slate and for the main slate. But in this video, guys, you'll know all of the industry's must-plays along with my splash plays for today's April 9th MLB slate. Let us get into it here. I hope it was a good one for you guys yesterday. I feel like the big thing was our boy Rafael Devers came through. I was really excited to see that. I know some of you guys tailed that play according to what we were talking about in the Discord, but it's a brand new day here. A couple slates for MLB, and we're going to try to make good time because we have an early slate, 3-gamer like I talked about, late slate, 3-gamer. We do have data as well on the site now for DraftKings and FanDuel. I've figured it out in the back end, so I don't have to short shrift the FanDuel people. We got them both here. But let's get into it, and let's start the top hitters as we always do. Aaron Judge, number 1. And let's pull in Stokastic data as well. Of course, something I could see on the admin side that you do not get access to through my site, but an important part of the process here for what we're doing on YouTube. Aaron Judge, your top owned play, top projected play as well. 57% ownership for the field at Aaron Judge, a 12.2 projection for me, 11.4 for Stokastic. The main thing to keep in mind here is when you see the ownership get that high, I love Aaron Judge. You guys know if you've watched the baseball streams at all lately, Yankee stacks popping up a lot for me on stream, and oftentimes enough paying off, at least parts of it. Shout out Alman Rosario a couple days ago. But I would say for Aaron Judge here, when you see a guy like Judge who is very good, who does obviously bring a lot of upside, but is going to be 57% owned. I think we're kind of in that Nikola Jokic NBA situation where it's a little too much ownership for a guy that obviously can be very easily a part of winning lineup, but also in baseball, he's only getting a hit 30% of the time. He's only getting a hit so often. Obviously a home run, less so. I would say that for how Aaron Judge would look in general, despite whatever matchup stuff, all of that, when you see an MLB player being owned that much, I think in general, you're going to want to get less. That said, for Judge, he's going against Jeffrey Springs today, a guy who does give up above league average home run rates, really in particular righties, a 4% rate versus righties, but a 3.7% rate overall. Weather not super great, blowing across the field to right field, 49-degree weather in Yankee Stadium here, but still a spot where Judge's pop is so much going against the guy that also gives up a 190 ISO versus right-handed hitting. Like, I get why Judge comes up that much. But again, my projection is higher than Stokastic, so it's all right there in the data for me too. But I think when the ownership is that high, you have to look at the fail outcomes a little bit more. What if Judge puts up a 0-point day? Then a lot of the field is left with 0. What if Aaron Judge puts up a 10-point day? Maybe he worked out, maybe he didn't. But I think that's where we're talking about him being in half your lineups as a max. And even then, I think there are probably some sharp DFS players, much sharper than me about MLB DFS, who might go, that's still probably too much ownership for any baseball player, even on a 3-game slate. Kerry Carpenter, $4,100 salary for him, much cheaper than Judge, who's at $6,500. Field also owning Kerry Carpenter less, 22% ownership. My data liking him a lot more, getting him at 35%. Here's one place where there's a pretty big projection difference for me as well. 10.6 fantasy points for Kerry Carpenter for me, 8.2 for Stokastic. So Detroit today. For Carpenter, you are getting 4.6 implied runs. You could see on the screen for Detroit. Going against Mick Abel, a guy who really struggled so bad when he started in MLB. Then went down to the minors, got traded. He was actually one of the Phillies games that we went to last year. I went with Alex. Actually saw Mick Abel get lit up in person, and that's when he got DFA'd and I think released, whatever it was. But Abel, though, 3.7% on run rate over the last 2 seasons. He has given up a lot of power. For Carpenter, he is one of your better home run swingers, better isolated power guys as well in Detroit with a 278 ISO going against right-handed pitching. So bad bullpen as well behind Mick Abel with a 1.4 whip being given up by Minnesota. So I think it's a good spot for Detroit today. Detroit, definitely a stack. We'll get to them. There's only 6 teams to choose from. But I think Kerry Carpenter looking pretty good as well. And I would say he and Aaron Judge are only 2 guys over 10 fantasy points in my data. Even though, again, I'm much higher in Carpenter than Stokastic. I have been 10.6. They have been 8.2. Riley Green, another Detroit Tiger coming in here, $4,400 salary, 24% owned. I'm getting 31. So up on Carpenter, up on Riley Green. I think the Detroit stack's probably going to pop up for me in the top stacks. We'll see in a moment here. But Riley Green, I would say not quite as much pop as Kerry Carpenter, but still a 245 ISO overall. Strikes out a bit more to 28% K rate, but a 5.4% on run rate. Carpenter at 6%. These 2 guys, I would say the Detroit mini stack looking really appealing with these 2, but Certainly getting more Detroit Tigers, I think not a crazy thing to do with the matchup being pretty decent going against Abel, a guy giving up a 1.7 whip, just really bad numbers across the board for Mick Abel. So I think for Carpenter and Green, would prefer Carpenter, I guess, just based off the projection and the salary being a little bit cheaper. But certainly both guys hitting in the middle of the order for Detroit. If Abel does like guys on base, I think there's a decent shot one of Carpenter or Green can hit a home run today and really be a player you need on the slate, with it being a short slate in particular. Ellie De La Cruz coming up here, 40% owned by the field. I've got him at 41%, so a little bit over, I guess, the field's ownership, but not so much, basically holding hands there. My projection for Ellie De La Cruz at 9.9 fantasy points. Stokastic has him at 9.2. I would say that for Ellie De La Cruz, 5,800 steep price tag for sure. Does bring the home run upside, does bring steal upside as well. So that's all stuff we like from Ellie De La Cruz, extra base upside as well. I think for De La Cruz, I mean, 4 implied runs going against Max Meyer, a guy who does give up a 233 ISO to righties. There's some power for sure in play there. Wind blowing in, but the weather is pretty warm. I think for Ellie De La Cruz, he looks good. I would say to me, he looks less good than Carpenter, less good than Judge in terms of your top projected guys, but certainly, no issue going to him, especially at shortstop, where he's going to have a much higher projection than most of the other guys at shortstop. I think absent of Ellie De La Cruz as a one-off, you're probably just taking a correlated shortstop in a stack. You have no issue with De La Cruz. I think the total being pretty low at 4 implied runs, compared to 4.9 for the Yankees, 4.6 for Detroit, is a pretty decent gap. But obviously De La Cruz can get there even if they don't score a lot of runs. So no issue with him. I think just the price tag at 5,800, a little bit of a sticker shock for me there. Shout out Ricky being here. What's up, Spags? Thanks for the doing the show so early. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a lot of prep work to get it done right. I also, I'm getting fucked by Alex lately not in the good way, but there's a waking up with Luke every day. So I was up early doing that. Transition right into doing MLB prep, but trying to get to a point where I can get the stuff done fast and hop on stream. Sort of my goal, and I think we're pretty much there with me being able to cover now. DK slates, got DK main and night slates now on the site. FanDuel main and night slate as well on the site. So we're making progress there to make it a little bit easier to manage. Especially when people don't tag me on Discord at 10 p.m., which is a separate conversation, but it's more of an NBA one. LA De La Cruz, again, looking good here. Giancarlo Stanton, not too far behind projection-wise. I am a little bit higher on Stanton, 9.5 fantasy points compared to Stokastic at 8.3. Much less ownership on Stanton than Aaron Judge, let's say. Would still say that going to Stanton here, hitting the home runs, can be a spot where Aaron Judge fails, Stanton does succeed, and take more of that Vegas total. But 23% ownership by Stanton. I'm getting 28. 4,200, I think he's a little bit too cheap. Obviously, he's not as good of a player all around as Aaron Judge, but I think brings similar ceiling when things go right. So no issue going to Stanton, in particular with the matchup being one that I'd say pretty intrigued by overall. And then Byron Buxton on Minnesota, our last guy here amidst our top projected players, 22.5% owned by the field. I'm getting 22. My projection is a little bit higher than Stokastic as well at 9.3 fantasy points there at 8.8. And my data does favor the star players, does favor the star hitters, star pitchers, which is a deliberate choice to make here. But I would say for how Buxton looks, going to Minnesota today, run total of 4.1 implied runs against Jack Flaherty. He is going to be the mega chalk pitcher on the slate. So if you do have Buxton succeeding here, you get some theoretical leverage. I suppose you also could play Buxton with Flaherty, get that ownership product down, and hope that maybe he's the one that generates your 1-2 earned runs in a good day for Flaherty, where he's still getting strikeouts, but maybe he does give up that production. But for Buxton, I think the biggest thing that he has going for him is that he is direct leverage against Flaherty. If you're not playing Flaherty, getting Buxton into more lamps I think would make sense. Hitting the leadoff spot for a team stack that's going to be going against your chalk pitcher. But I really don't think Buxton, to me, as much of a priority as the other guys. We'll see what we get in top stacks tool in a moment. But to me, Buxton, I think, safely behind the other guys, really because you have to play Flaherty. Top pitchers, let's look at now. Appreciate all the kind chats, too. We got our guy Nolan here. Think to access Discord chat and FAQ with a quiz after it should be required. I did put it in the rules, like, please don't tag me for either or questions. Like, if you guys know, if you've watched any of my content, or really anybody who does this stuff, for the most part, either or questions were like the worst thing content-wise, because they only help one person. But also for me in particular, I give you guys all my data, like all my sim stuff, all my projections. So the answer is there. Like, that's the answer. So people are tagging me. I'm like, just look at the site, especially when it's like the 5th time. I'm like, just fucking I just want to relax. 3-year-old gets up at 7 a.m. I wish we got up at 7 a.m. He gets up at fucking 5:45 and 6. It's the worst. I know Bill Simmons' kid used to do the same thing. I remember reading his old Page 2 columns where he'd call his son, who's now I think a teenager, which shows how the passage of time always so fun. But he called him the CEO because like, oh, he was always up early. And I was like, ah, ha, ha, how funny. And I was like, that's my child. Granted, you know, my wife is a child of a psychiatrist, so we did not do sleep training and all of that. We just kind of dealt with it and had to, which is fucking terrible. I would have sleep trained immediately if I could. It's all different things, but you know, lovely kid. Just wish he would fucking sleep and listen. We got Jack Flaherty's our top pitchers here. And before we get to top pitchers, guys, please show some love. Again, just the exhaustion racking up, and I'm still here doing the work as I always do. So please do hit the like button. Please subscribe. It really means a lot here. Again, I'm just one guy showing you my work for the MLB now. These slates give me no evergreen timing. It sucks. Even people that are playing the main slate, they're probably not going to watch this video because they're going to think I'm only covering the early slate. It's the worst. It's a lot of work for MLB, but, you know, I'm doing the work as best I can, hoping it'll pay off in the end. Picking up your guys' trust along the way by showing up here and give you guys good takes. And takes, too, that I think really, like the Devers stuff, I was really proud of that one because that was one where nobody else in the industry had that. My data's popping it up. That's sort of what I built things for. I'm going to do similar things here every day. So check it out. Hit the like button and subscribe. And really do help me out as best you can because YouTube is a bitch when we're getting new content out there. Stokastic, 15% off all their data, all tools. Use promo code SPLASH over there. Best promo code they have going because it works for everything and it doesn't end. So get it for yourself right now. Promo code SPLASH, SPLASH, over at Stokastic and get idiot-proof great DFS lineups for yourself. And, of course, my site, splashplaypodcast.com. If you don't want to ask me either ors, then you can go to splashplaypodcast.com and you can get the answers all for yourself. All my stuff is updating throughout the night when there's a change and anything that matters. MLB, NBA, NFL too, my best ball champion tool for simulations during live drafts in like almost real time. Really cool stuff I'm building, all really for myself, but you guys can come along for the ride and check it out for yourself too. $40 a month for VIP, $20 a month for the Squirt Squad tier. If you enjoy this content and want to see it continue on, really encourage you guys to sign up at splashplaypodcast.com, check out the data, and do all that stuff. All right. And we'll not have another kid until my 2-year-old can sleep through the night. I mean, we're not having another kid at all, but I'm more comfortable with that as an only child. But, you know, the fucking sleeping, like the sleep part, like I don't think your sleep ever recovers from me being the guy who did overnight shifts for the first 8 months of Luca's life. I just don't think your sleep ever fully recovers. But, you know, people who have kids that sleep, you should fucking pray to your gods every day because you're doing a lot better than those of us who do not. Jack Flaherty, 17.6 projection for me, 15.7 for Stokastic. So I am a little bit higher on Flaherty. That said, he's mega chalk on both sites at 8,500. We really have no star pitchers on the slate. He's the only guy with a good K rate, 28.2%. Projected K rate for Flaherty for me here. Overall, the last couple seasons, he has a 28.4%. Going against righties, it's at 30.7. So actually gets to a pretty elite level going against right-handed hitting. That said, he is facing 5 lefties today. He's a little bit worse versus lefties. 26.4% K rate there. Really for him against righties, more dangerous power given up as well. 3.7% on run rate versus righties compared to 3.1 versus lefties. He's also weirdly faced more lefties in the last couple seasons than he has righties, which almost never happens. That's an odd stat. But for Jack Flaherty, the big thing is that the strikeout upside is there. He will attack the plate, so I do think he can get hit hard. He does get guys to chase, though. Decent 44% clip, which relative to this slate where we have no good pitching. I think he does stand out as having the most live arm. So I get why the field's there on Flaherty. Would say with that ownership, I definitely would get, you know, capping Flaherty at whatever the field's ownership is, and then you're playing some Minnesota stacks going against them, getting that direct leverage on a slate where that direct leverage would really pay off because you only have 3 games. But Flaherty's your best pitcher here, facing a lineup with 5 guys that strike out over league average. I mean, lowest whip of all the key guys in the slate. Highest K rate. Home run rate's not that much higher than anybody else, though Rhett Loader is a little bit lower there. No pun intended. But I think for Flaherty here, yeah, look, I get why he's that owned. There's really no live arms in the slate, but he can get blown up. And if he does get blown up, that's the field. If Aaron Judge fails and Flaherty fails, that's the entire slate. Like if you just play that, honestly, for me, probably putting in like 5 lineups into the early slate today. I think I'll probably try one lineup where I just fade those 2 guys and hope I get the inverse outcomes correct because all the field will be going and expecting those outcomes today. And then maybe just play the rest of them, you know, straight up heavy for the rest of the lineups. Son 3 sleeps fully, thank God. Only thing he does is he co-sleeps. Oh, okay. Okay, co-sleeping is tough too, but you're not at an age where you can squish them, so that's a positive. When they're babies, you're not supposed to do that, though. That much I know. Ryan Weathers, 44% owned by the field. I've got 45% across my 100,000 contest sims that we're running over and over again at splashplaypodcast.com. Weathers here at 7,500, nice price tag. Yankees, also decent shot of winning today, given the fact that they have 4.9 implied runs implied. Athletics only 3.4. Weathers, K rate at 22.4% overall. Projected only have 22.4% today, so holding steady with this average, but he is facing one of your better matchups here. 6 guys that strike it over league average in the Athletics lineup. Decent amount of power going against them, 195 ISO for that Athletic lineup as well. But I think for Weathers here, I get why he's coming up. I don't think he's a super exciting play. The field owns him a lot at 44%. But I think if you're not playing Flaherty at that point, you're probably going Weathers, Meyer, Loader. So you kind of have to play Weathers on the slate. The chance of a win, decent strikeout ability, a little bit under league average, but so is everybody else in the slate. And at least he's higher than the other guys. Like he's at 22.4%. Mayer 22, Loader at 20, Abel at 20, Springs at 21. Just based on the data, your most obvious plays are Flaherty and Weathers, but they're the most obvious plays, so just keep that in mind. Max Meyer here, 5 guys striking out over league average and 1 that doesn't qualify, going against Miami today. That's PJ Higgins, I presume. But for how it looks for Meyer here, $8,300 salary. He's got under league average strikeout stuff, does give up really dangerous power as well, over a 200 ISO to lefties and righties. Playing in a park, it's going to mitigate that power for the most part, but that is dangerous power that can go against him. I feel a lot more comfortable with Flaherty and Weathers, but I think just relative to what a slate is, if you don't play one of Flaherty and Weathers, Mayer's probably your next guy up. I'm going to keep saying different versions of his last name, by the way, Meyer, Mayer. But I think 1.4 whip, like he can get really blown up here if he gives up the power and lets guys on base. Rhett Loader facing a lineup with only 3 guys that strike it over league average. He also doesn't have great strikeout stuff at a 20% K rate, lowest of all the starters in this game, or the slate rather. For Loader here, low home run rate at 2.2%. Does keep the ball down fairly well. Really low ISO against right-handed hitting. It's not the biggest sample size, but a .0012 ISO versus righties, .058 ISO versus lefties. For a guy that has pitched so far in Cincinnati mostly. It's pretty impressive, but he's not getting strikeouts. I would say if all your other pitchers get blown up, Loader maybe having a day where he doesn't get strikeouts and pitches 5 innings and maybe picks up a win. I think that's where he could pay off. He's going to be 19% owned by the field. My data likes him at 35%, so clearly there's something there. I'd say he's a better play than Abel and Springs. These 2 guys, to me, I just can't imagine getting a lot of playing 150, you'll get there. Playing a 20 max, I just don't think I would. Playing a few lineups at big tournament, I don't think I would. Loader, though, I could see getting to, in particular, if you're fading Flaherty, fading Weathers. At that point, you're basically down to Meyer or Loader, and I think Loader less likely to get blown up than Meyer, I think, is the best way to say that. All right, so that's all of our top pitchers here. Let's look at the top stacks real fast. So we'll take a quick game-by-game look. Keep in mind here, top stacks, I think not going to show as much as we would normally like here, but still do the best we can to show it off. Cincinnati here, it's only 6 teams, so that's why we're not seeing the big ROI differentials here. Basically, my ROI calculation, if you aren't familiar, is a calculation that reflects what the average is for all the teams in the slate, how much above average that team is. So for Cincinnati, they are the most above average team here for 5-man stacks, for 4-man stacks, and for 3-man stacks. Flaherty and Weathers, the most common combo. Cincinnati, I guess, low enough owned as a stack that we can play our 2 chalk pitchers with it without, being too duped up here. But Cincinnati, clear number 1 stack-wise, so they'd be the one that would get the most exposure for me based on what we're seeing here. And one thing I will point out in my data, which I've observed a little bit lately, I think it was the case with Devers yesterday, sometimes 1-2 hitters will really drive a stack popping up more for me because my data believes that these guys will hit so well that the rest of the stack can come along with it. I think for Cincinnati, that's a little bit of the case here where I'd expect there being outlier days for De La Cruz, for Friedel, for Suarez. I think that would be why we are seeing, the stack pop up more. It's not really that they have, 5 great hitters, I feel like. I mean, really, they have 5 decent ones and then a bunch of guys that suck. Like Dade Myers has been terrible. Higgins, not expecting a lot of hitting the 9-hole. McLean, even in the 2 holes, pretty bad at the 72 WRC plus versus right-hand pitching. But Friedel, De La Cruz, Stewart, Suarez, Nathaniel Lau, I think these are all, or Lowe, whatever he is. I think these are the guys that look the best, and they're the ones coming up the most for the most part, besides Lowe. Minnesota coming up a little bit here. My 3-man stacks with 11% ROI. They also are my top second highest rather 4-man stack, 11% ROI there. Really not a big gap between Cincinnati and Minnesota, so I would say a little bit of a flat slate. Shocker here on the 3-gamer. Detroit's 5-man coming up with Flaherty and Meyer. Detroit, Green, Torkelson, and Carpenter coming up the most. For the Minnesota stacks, it's Clemens, Buxton, and Wallner coming up in a 4-man, and Clemens, Buxton, and Waller coming up in a 3-man as well. So again, here we're not showing you the exact stack. We're showing you the combos that come up the most and have the highest ROI. So I think for how Minnesota looks, it does seem like if you're playing them, number one, you're fading Flaherty, obviously. But you're also pairing Abel with it. And I guess the assumption that if Minnesota does win, it does produce outlier offense, decent chance that Abel gets the win. Not sure that's likely, but sim-wise, I get where that'd be coming up. Detroit's 5-man is technically your number 2 ROI, 6% here with Flaherty and Meyer. Again, Minnesota 5-man, not too far behind. Then the Yankees, a positive ROI on them. Athletics, Miami, no positive ROIs, and in fact, really negative ones for the Athletics in Miami. So they would be, for me, basically entirely off the slate. Let's go game by game here, guys. Before we do that, one last ask, and then we'll head over to Stokastic. Of course, we're still going to do our late slate as well. But please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It really matters a lot, especially with these MLB videos, which are just a death knell for my algorithm. It's so frustrating, man. I'm just not getting views here because there's like 2 hours for the video to exist. And because it's a new video too, or new content here on the channel, only been doing NBA for a year and a half. YouTube doesn't show it to enough people early on. So it's the worst. But I do think these videos will add value. Doing them every day here, of course, showing you all the data as best I can, showing you mine, showing you Stokastic. So please support what we're doing here because I need it. If you guys hit that like button and subscribe, you guys have been doing it. So shout out to you guys that are doing it, but please keep doing it because fuck, man. Check out Stokastic as well. Maybe when NBA ends, it'll be a little bit easier. But for right now, man, it's just terrible with the timing. Stokastic, 15% off all their data, all their tools. No matter what sport you're playing, you will get great DFS lineups. I put in a couple Masters lineups yesterday because I had some tickets. All of them built with Stokastic data because I'm not building PGA for myself. Really, that's the big thing you have when you hop into Stokastic is that you know you'll be taken care of. No matter what sport you're playing, getting great sim data, great projection data as well. So check it out for yourself. 15% off any package, weekly, monthly, or yearly at Stokastic with the promo code SPLASH. And of course, my site, splashplaypodcast.com. All of you guys that want to see things as they update, want to keep checking things, see what players look like when there is news, when starting lineups change for the NBA, for the MLB, even for the NFL, when that's coming up as well. It's all available for me at splashplaypodcast.com. The big things there. I'm running 100,000 sims, which is more than anybody else in the industry, running them over and over again as well. And you can pair my data with these other sites, use my projections, use my sim data, and just build stuff on Stokastic. It'll give you ways to get unique that you're not really using right now. And I think ways that'll help you a lot based on the people that, have gotten results this year. So check it out for yourself, splashplaypodcast.com. Again, cheaper than all your other sites out there by a decent margin, $40 compared to $100 everywhere else. So check it out for yourself at splashplaypodcast.com. All right, game by game here. We got Cincinnati versus Miami. Max Meyer coming up number 1 here at pitcher. We get a guy that gives up dangerous power. 233 ISO allowed to righties, 217 ISO allowed to lefties. Not good stuff. The K rate as well under league average. So he's attacking the plate, not getting the results that you want to see. Certainly against a bad team that strikes out 6 times or 6 guys over average. You can see Meyer hit his ceiling a little bit more. I would say on the spot, this is probably your situation. We talk about this every MLB slate. There's some games where it's like, okay, this is like a total coin toss. The pitcher can get blown up or get strikeouts. The hitters can blow them up or just have a shitty day. Your Angels being a classic example of that in a lot of slates lately. For Cincinnati, I think this is what the spot is. You have guys that strike out. Meyer himself is not a great strikeout guy, but he can get strikeouts. He also can get hit really hard. A 4.7% on run rate over this much of a sample size. Almost 600 batters faced. It's not good. That's a lot of power, especially for a guy that's pitching in Miami for a good portion of the time. So I think Cincinnati here, a stack that we want to play some of. Obviously, they are technically my top stack based on that data. But Meyer, a guy, if Cincinnati fails, like Meyer's probably got a shot to have a decent day. Miami going against Brett Lauder on the other side. Again, Lauder, a guy, don't expect to get blown up here. Miami, my lowest graded stack. So really, let's save time on it because we got another slate to hit on. Miami, to me, not so much in play. Obviously, it's a 3-gamer, so you're still getting guys like Jacob Marcy, who's really your only highlight, I think, for Miami. But he's a lot better against, weirdly, as a lefty. Hits lefties incredibly well, hits righties not so well. But he's got speed. He can get steals and all that. So he's fine. Edwards, similar thing. But really nobody above a 200 ISO besides down the order. Small sample size, Owen Casey and Griffin Conine here with a little bit bigger sample size. Just Miami, a team I think you can leave off the slate. And if they hit, I'm sorry, but I just don't see them being a team I need to prioritize. Rhett Lauder, do think that he has a decent shot here of not getting blown up. Really low home run rate, decent ground ball rate, limits hard contact fairly well, or hard hit rates rather fairly well. K rate's pretty low though, so he's not get strikeouts, but maybe a death by 1,000 cut situation for him where he just gives up single, single, single. You will get some more doubles, more triples in Miami's park as well. But I think Loader to me feels like the safest pitcher on the slate in terms of just not getting smoked. Like fantasy wise, the strikeouts being so low, like a guy could pitch 5 innings and get 2 strikeouts, and it's really not enough, even if the other pitchers got blown up, but got 6, 7 strikeouts. Athletics, 3.4 implied runs going against Ryan Weathers here. 6 guys that strike out over league average for the Athletics. Does make it look better for Ryan Weathers, who is a little bit under league average pitcher overall. Only facing 2 lefties here, and he's a lot better versus lefties. The 27% K rate. Some of that might be the limited sample size, though. Going lefty-lefty. That said, for Weathers, I think he's an okay pitcher on the slate. He and Jack Flaherty, probably your first 2 guys in at pitcher for most of the field. So that maybe makes him slightly less compelling. My projection at 16.4, Stokastic at 16.1. I do think Weathers is probably your pretty good shot to win here. I mean, you're one of your best shots to win on the slate, so that's a positive for him. For Athletics, you would get good leverage if they were to hit Weathers hard. A lot of power for the Athletics lineup with a 195 ISO. Not great hitting conditions overall, 49-degree weather. Going to New York. Yeah, I think the Athletics' biggest appeal is that you get direct leverage on Weathers here if he were to get blown up. But based on the weather being kind of cold, Weathers himself, a little bit over league average home run rate. I think the spot's a little bit less volatile than the Max Meyer spot, but I think it's similar stuff here, where Weathers, I would say, more of a risk than Flaherty. I don't know. It's hard to say. They're all kind of the same guy. Like, none of these pitchers are great. Weather's strikeout stuff is lower than Flaherty. So I'd say my ranking is like Flaherty, your best bet. The field's also going to make it the best bet. Weather's a better bet than Meyer, because Meyer really does get smoked in terms of isolated power. But they're more on the spectrum, I think, of ranges of outcome, unfortunately. Yankees, 4.9 implied runs going against Jeffrey Springs. Again, I really would not play Springs in the slate. The Yankees do strike out a good amount. Of this lineup going against a lefty, only 5 guys striking over league average, a little bit less than they're usually rolling out there. Springs, pretty big power given up to righties here, 190 ISO compared to a 120 versus lefties. So maybe a little bit less love for Bellinger, Chisholm, and Wells in the matchup here. But I think for how it looks for the Yankees here, I would have thought they might be my top stack here. Judge is so highly owned. Maybe that's a part of why they're coming down a little bit. But Judge looks good. Just don't think he should be 57% owned. No hitter really, I think, should be 50% owned generally. Detroit going against Minnesota here, 4.6 implied runs. Mick Abel, again, a terrible pitcher for the most part. 3.7% home run rate. Going against a Detroit team with 4.6 implied runs. Not the spot you're expecting him to do super well. For me, really don't think I'd play him. So it did seem noteworthy that Minnesota stacks paired with Abel were popping up as like a common combo with a high ROI. So maybe you play Abel if you're playing Minnesota, but I wouldn't play him if I weren't doing that. 6 guys that strike over league average for Detroit in this lineup, so that is a positive for Abel, who is under league average strikeout rate guy. I would assume that you get Abel blown up, but certainly, it's a 3-game slate, so if you want to play him, you can. I just think he and Springs would be my least 2 favorite guys. Now, fast forward a couple hours, them putting up 30. Minnesota, 4.1 implied runs going against Flaherty. Flaherty's got the best strikeout stuff on the slate. Also does give up above league average home run rates, 3.4% rate overall here, as you can see right behind my little circle there. Not the best. Minnesota, though, with the 4.1 implied runs, it's a total. It does seem like Flaherty should have some success here, even though I would guess he probably gives up a couple runs. Minnesota, you get the most direct leverage on the slate because Flaherty is your chalk pitcher. But Flaherty does seem like he's highest owned for a reason. He's got the best strikeout rate stuff. You're facing a team where at least 5 guys strike out over league average. And then where are the other guys? I mean, pretty low for Victor Caratini. Pretty low for Josh Bell. But, Gray, Outman, they get smoked. Clemens, Buxton, there's strikeouts to be had here. I hate to keep repeating the point because it really is like what MLB DFS is, I think, in a nutshell. But it's really just a volatile spot with Flaherty still. I would say I expect him to have the biggest strikeout upside on the slate. But he, like all these other guys, like there is some dangerous power. There's not a lot of guys here, really no guys that are like the perfect combo of power and limiting, rather strikeout upside and limiting power. I think Flaherty's just the best version of it. So I hope that makes sense. All right, let's go over to Stokastic. Actually, look at my sim data fast. We'll go over to Stokastic. Top sim win rate, guys, on DraftKings right now for this main slate. Jack Flaherty, number 1 at 56%. Obviously, he's also owned a good amount of 57. Ryan Weathers at 45. Fields at 44. Ellie De La Cruz, 41%. Just ahead of Aaron Judge at 40 and Rhett Lauder at 35. For FanDuel, your early slate, Aaron Judge at 59%, still over-owned there. He's going to be 65% owned on FanDuel, which is crazy. Ellie De La Cruz at 54%, Fields at 43 on FanDuel. Kerry Carpenter, 41% for me, win rate. Fields at 19, massive stand on Kerry Carpenter on FanDuel. And your top home run rate, guys, for the early slate as well. Aaron Judge, 54% chance at home run in the game, according to my data. So that's probably what your ownership should be at, if I had to guess, because if he hits that home run, you almost definitely needed to have him with what the field's ownership on him is going to be. Eugenio Suarez, 33%. Riley Green at 32. Kerry Carpenter at 31. Not a surprise, I think, with what we saw before. Buxton not too far behind. All right, let's go to Stokastic next. See what a DraftKings sim has for us over here. And then we will do our late slate as well. So again, trying to get this done a little bit faster. It probably took a bit too long, but it's hard to time this out. But guys, show some love if you can. I don't know if Stokastic is going to do both slates today, but if they do, or if they don't rather, I'm the only one in the biz who's doing both slates today. So please show some love if you can. Hit the like button and subscribe. It is kind of a bitch to do both slates at once, but I'm still showing up here, do the best I can for you guys because they're both pretty much the same size slates today. Of course, one slate today locking at 12:10 Eastern, as you can see on the screen. So we're trying to burn through this pretty quickly. The other slate locking at 7 o'clock tonight. So take advantage of what I'm giving you guys here. Check out my data, but really, no matter what, show some love back by hitting that like button and subscribing. Of course, Stokastic, 15% off all their stuff with the promo code SPLASH. You guys know the deal by now. Check it out for yourself. Best data in the business, easiest, idiot-proof DFS lineups you will get. Shots at first place night after night. Check it out with the promo code SPLASH over at Stokastic. And my site, SplashPlayPodcast.com, now supporting all these off slates as well. Not quite doing the turbos yet, but if enough people ask about it, I can. Still going to add showdowns at some point for NBA as well. MLB probably going to take a little bit longer for that. But I'm adding stuff all the time to my site, SplashPlayPodcast.com. It's not something where I put it out, and it just is what it is. I try to make it better every day for you guys and for myself. So please do check it out. If you enjoy this content, $20 a month for the Squirt Squad tier, $40 a month for the VIP tier, cheaper than your Run Pures, your Saber Sims, your Ship Its, whatever you have out there. It's meant to be paired with some of your sim products if you can. Even if you're just hand building at SplashPlayPodcast.com, you will get better using my data. All right, your top ROI lineups. It's money time here. It's double money time. We got Max Meyer here, /Mayer. Does Chunk want to correct me on Max Meyer, though? Maybe not, because given that Cole Reagans, I got his name right, and he fucking went one inning and got blown up and hurt. Well, not blown up, gave up a run and got hurt. Not great. But Max Meyer here, Ryan Weathers, Jake Rogers, Sal Stewart, Cody Clemens, Zach McKinstry, Javier Baez, Byron Buxton, Riley Green, Kerry Carpenter, a Detroit 5-2. Detroit's one of my teams too, at least based on the projections. So cool with that. Yeah, and you're avoiding the pitchers and going with the game stack, so that makes sense. Number 2, you have Max Meyer, Ryan Weathers, Victor Caratini, Josh Bell, Cody Clemens, Colt Keith, and this Minnesota, Detroit, New York 4-2-2. Jose Caballero, Aaron Judge, Byron Buxton, Kerry Carpenter. So we're getting some Detroit here again. I like these Detroit guys, and they're coming in. Glad to see that. Number 3, Max Meyer in a Detroit, Minnesota 5-2. Ryan Weathers, Liam Hicks, Spencer Torkelson, Gleyber Torres, Colt Keith, Javier Baez, Byron Buxton, Riley Green, and Matt Wallner. So fading my boy Carpenter here, but everybody else from Detroit makes it in. Number 4, you have Max Meyer, Ryan Weathers, Liam Hicks, Spencer Torkelson, Gleyber Torres. I hate that name. Colt Keith, Javier Baez, Byron Buxton, McKinstry, and Larnach. Very similar lineups here. Detroit stuff and Minnesota stuff. I feel like kind of samey in these top ones. Minnesota, Detroit with Miami in a 2-2-2 build. Meyer, Springs, Augustin Ramirez, Nick Kurtz, Xavier Edwards, Zach McKinstry, Ellie De La Cruz, Byron Buxton, Kerry Carpenter. There we go. And Matt Wallner makes this one. You're leaving some pretty big salaries here. 44-2, 45-7, 47-5. Your top one's 44-6. So it being a short slate, so Stokastic definitely saying leave all the money on the table you want. Your top ROIs, Wallner, Bell, Baez, Torkelson, Larnach. I'm going to go fast here, guys, because we got to get to the next slate. Your top exposure guys, Weathers at 68%, Fields at 42. Max Meyer at 59%, Fields at 48. So they are going low on Flaherty. Oh, boy, real low on Flaherty. Flaherty only 23%. They are fading Flaherty pretty hard. Byron Buxton, 53% exposure, Fields at 18. Again, they love that Detroit, Minnesota stuff, so not a surprise to see that. Aaron Judge, 51%, Fields 64. Judge being the Jokic of the slate, play him in half your lineups. That makes sense. And Ellie De La Cruz, 45% exposure across Stokastic's top 150, Fields at 47. Highest leverage plays, Buxton 35% more in the field, Weathers 26% more, Caratini 20% more, Wallner 19% more, and Riley Green 16% more in the field. Your most negative leverage plays, Flaherty, a massive fade, negative 40% leverage on him. He's still making about 25% of lineups, less than that, but negative 40% leverage is a massively negative stand on Flaherty. Liam Hicks, negative 25% of him. The field's going to play him at 30 for Miami. They only want you to get 5. My data also hates Miami, so sure. Ben Rice, negative 21%. Obviously, part of a Yankee stack. I think he's fine. 5K salary, a little bit much for Ben Rice. 6% exposure is what Stokastic's giving you. The field's at 27. Negative 20% leverage on Xavier Edwards. Negative 14% on Cody Bellinger. So that's what you're getting for your early slate, guys. We're going to do the night slate next, so let's start the process all over again. Again, one more ask, guys, because this is a bitch. And I don't even know if people are going to like the content being split up like this, but please help me out. Hit that like button and subscribe. We're going to start all over again with the DK night slate here because 2 prize pools that look similar, and some of you guys might want to play that one. So I'm doing the best I can to give you guys everything I possibly can for these slates. Again, DraftKings and FanDuel both. You can see on the screen, I do have DraftKings main slate here, 7:10 p.m. DraftKings over here, FanDuel. We got it all. So I'm doing everything I possibly can to prepare you guys. Help me out back. Hit that like button and subscribe. Again, Stokastic, all their stuff does update too for these slates. So you want to play them both, play them with Stokastic data. You can use my projections on their site. Again, easy exports right away if you are a VIP member of SplashPlayPodcast.com. But pair them together. Use Stokastic by yourself. Either way, you'll do better in DFS using their sim products and their data. And of course, my site, SplashPlayPodcast.com. You want all the stuff. Check it out for yourself here at SplashPlayPodcast.com. Really, the big thing here is I'm showing you some version of things for free, but the biggest thing you can do is get this data for yourself. As it updates, really the second the stream ends, I'm going to update for all the lineups to do change. It's really important to see that stuff as it changes for NBA in particular, but MLB too. Like the starting lineups do change pretty frequently. So keep that in mind here. What you see at 12 a.m. or 12 a.m., hopefully not 12 a.m. We see at 11 a.m. at 12 p.m. is going to be different than what you get at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. So check out SplashPlayPodcast.com. And really the biggest thing I'm saying is that if you guys want to see me keep doing these videos, I need more of you guys to sign up over there. Really, if half you guys who watch the video signed up, I'd be the happiest boy in the world. If all you guys who watch signed up, I'd be fucking printing. But yeah, really, like even if like 10% of you guys signed up, it's enough for me to keep doing this and maybe make some additions staff-wise that would help me out, get more out to you guys. So that's what I'm looking at right now, but looking at you. All right, game by game here for our 7-10 slate. Actually, let's not do game by game. We'll do top projected guys. Same shit. Why would I do it differently? All right. We got Fernando Tatis, number 1, 9.8 projection. Again, I'm going to probably go a little bit faster here just because there's too many slates. But Tatis in this spot here. Let me filter this one as well to the late slate. Going against Chase Dollander, a guy that gives up league average home runs, about league average strikeout rate guy. Not the greatest matchup in the world, but 4.8 implied runs is one of our better totals on the slate. Not quite as good as KC, but number 2. So Fernando Tatis, 5,500, obviously a good hitter. No issue going to him as your number 1 guy. Fields at 41%. I'm getting 42 across 100,000 contest sims. Bobby Witt, mega chalk for this late slate or this main slate, whatever you want to call it. 53% owned by the field. I'm getting 31. Seems a little bit over-owned for a guy. It's going to be, a 9.6 projection, a little bit lower for me than Tatis. For Bobby Witt, obviously you have the biggest run total here with the 5.6 implied runs. Witt is rock solid, and, he is a guy that is playing at shortstop, which, as we talked about, not always the highest upside position, though I think you have some pivots here with Lindor, so you can see the top projected guys as well. But for how it looks for KC, you do have a pretty big total. You're going against Anthony K, who's really bad, only a 12.5% K rate, 5% on run rate, really awful stuff across the board. He's terrible versus righties as well, a 6.5% on run rate. Small sample size stuff, but he's been pretty bad the last couple seasons that he's played. For K, one of those guys that I think you really do want to attack. The total obviously supports that as well. So get Bobby Witt coming up, but I think you can play other KC guys too, or decrease that ownership product by playing the stack, and that would all be totally logical. Dollander for 6 innings today. Okay. I mean, that would be, look, KC's gotten blown up as your chalk stack before, your highest Vegas total stack on a slate. I think Dollander's an okay guy, but he's got nothing special. So yeah, certainly can work out, but I don't expect it to. Jackson Merrill, a 9.2 projection for me at 4,500 on DraftKings, 8.4 for Stokastic. Fields at 31% ownership. I've got 38 here. Again, San Diego, if I had to guess, going to be my top stack when we look at that in a moment here. But for how it looks for Merrill, same matchup we talked about with Tatis. You're facing Dollander, who is an okay pitcher, but not anything special. And then for how it looks For Jackson Merrill, hitting in the 3-hole. 231 ISO, best on the Padres right now. And Dollander, a little bit worse versus righties. Actually, no. He's pretty equally bad versus righties and lefties. He's just like straight average across the board. I think it's a favorable spot going against Dollander. I think it's really just going against like the most league average pitcher you could possibly face. But I think for Dollander here, I get why you'd go against him. Just want to make sure this date is right. I'm not pulling in. Dollander is just like not a great pitcher. They actually might be giving him. They could actually might be fucking up in my sheet because he's getting flat league average. He's actually worse than league average. I got to fix this after the show. But Dollander is being pulled in incorrectly. Basically, when a pitcher doesn't have stats, they get replacement level stats for me. And Dollander, I'm looking at a spot here where I don't think it's pulling in correctly. Dollander actually had 19.5% K rate overall. A little bit better versus righties with 24% compared to 15% versus lefties. Yeah, I think Dollander is worse than I was saying. So yeah, Merrill, Tatis, I get where they're coming up. Dollander, I got to fix in the data after the show. But I definitely would not say, looking at it now, I really feel even less confident in Dollander for 6 innings today. We got Colson Montgomery here for the White Sox, 4,200, 8.97 projection for me, 8.4 for Stokastic, 17% ownership for the field. I've got 24. The White Sox, never a team we're super stoked about, but Montgomery is a guy that pops in my data a little bit more because he does have some decent isolated power, some decent numbers across the board. For Montgomery today, you're going against Seth Lugo, a guy who gives up a league average home run rate, but for Montgomery, he does bring a 292 ISO going against right-handed pitching. Decent sample size as well with 240 plate appearances. I think for Montgomery, third base, shortstop as well. Again, shortstop, always a little bit of a tough position to find that ceiling at. I've got Montgomery on slates a good amount lately. I can't say he always pays off, but it's 17% ownership. I do think he's one of those guys that has less ownership and has the big upside for that 7 o'clock slate. Francisco Lindor would be your most live pivot to Bobby Witt's crazy high ownership at 53%. Lindor at 17. I'm getting 26% of Lindor. So I think getting above the field on him does make sense. Lindor, not as good of a Vegas total with only those 4 implied runs for him today going against Eduardo Rodriguez. But Lindor, decent splits versus lefties. He is batting from both sides of the plate, but 190 ISO going against lefties. Would say it's a positive for him going against Rodriguez, a guy that does give up over league average home runs. Going against the right side of the plate, 3.6% rate there. I think for Lindor at 5,100, I'd say he's, again, your most live pivot to Witt. He's definitely a worse play on paper projection-wise than Witt, but not as big of a gap for me as it is for Stokastic. Stokastic has Witt putting up 12.2. I'm putting up 9.6. Lindor, they have putting up 8.5. I'm at 8.75. So flatter with Lindor for me and Stokastic, but I think Witt, they're just really over-projecting today. And then Ramon Laureano, another part of that San Diego lineup. Again, Dollander, a guy that is not as good as my data initially made me think. Got to fix that on the back end. But as it looks for Laureano, hitting in the leadoff spot, probably can get driven in by the better hitters going behind him on the Padres. 26% ownership for Laureano. I've got 32. If the Padres stack is where you're going, I think Laureano is a viable part of that as a guy that probably comes along with a rising tide there. And he does occasionally have some pop, even though, yeah, he's at a 201 ISO going against righties over the last couple seasons. That's not bad. I actually thought it was a little bit lower. He, Tatis, Merrill, and then Machado are really your top guys. Then it kind of falls off until Cronenworth. Gavin Sheets, I wouldn't mind mixing in, but Padres stack, I think your most live pivot to KC. We'll see in a moment when we look by the top stacks. All right, your top pitchers right now. Real fast, we'll go through here. I'll save the plugs. Terrible pitching slate on this late slate. We got 15 implied points for Nolan McLean. Stokastic got 16.7, a little bit higher. The Mets today, with their 4 implied runs, decent chance to win against Arizona with their 3.2 implied runs. So I think a decent chance that McLean gets that win bonus. But he's an average guy as well. 22.6% K rate, 3% on run rate. Really just nothing special. For McLean, I think the biggest thing that we're going to get to here is the price tag, I think, is going to work the best here. Actually, let me double check this now that Dollander is fucked up. I want to make sure McLean's not fucked up as well. As you guys know, I'm a stickler for accuracy, and sometimes we catch shit with MLB. It's not all the way there. Oh, okay, McLean's got better stuff. All right, sorry, guys. I promise to be the last time I misspeak. Nolan McLean. It was a late slate. I just didn't look at the late slate before the show. That's my bad. I double checked the main slate thoroughly. Late slate, I figured it was all good because the main slate was all good, and that was wrong. McLean, a 30% K rate overall, which is a lot better. I get why Stokastic projection is that high because they definitely are favoring the K rate more on there. Whip of 1.01, also one of the better marks in the slate. He's facing a team where the strikeouts are not super great. Only 3 guys striking over league average. But like we talk about a lot in these slates, we are trusting the pitcher's arm more than the hitter's ability to avoid strikeouts. So I would say relative to this slate here, again, McLean will get it updated on the back end. But I do think he is a guy that looks a lot better with the data being what it is. On this late slate, you have nobody that's even close to a Flaherty, let alone any actual good pitchers. So McLean has to stand out more, and I think he'll pop in my data when I get that updated after the show. Seth Lugo, number 2 guy here at pitcher, 15 projection. He'll be owned a lot less than McLean, 45%. McLean's at 63. But both guys still look like 50, 60% plays to me. Lugo going for KC, that high Vegas total, you expect him to get the win. But still also not a great matchup for him. Only 3 guys striking over league average going against Lugo today. Randy Vasquez, 35% owned by the field. I'm getting 34. Not the most exciting stuff here for Randy Vasquez. Not a great K rate for him, projected at 15%, but he is facing a soft lineup with 6 guys that strike it over league average. For Vasquez, your hope would be that he goes deep enough and picks up the win. That said, he's not getting a lot of strikeouts along the way. So really, a bet for Vasquez is a bet that I think one of Lugo or McLean gets blown up. McLean's probably got double, like 2x the better stuff here compared to Vasquez, so that's a little bit tough. But yeah, I mean, Vasquez is a cheap option. I get why he's coming up because San Diego probably going to win, and Vasquez will probably throw deep. He's just not good at getting strikeouts. Chase Dollander, like we talked about here, a guy that's probably worse than I'm giving him credit for in the data right now, but 11.4 projection for me, 11.9 for Stokastic. The good news for him is that he's not in Colorado. That's definitely going to be a park shift upgrade. The bad news is that he's just not a great pitcher. But 12% ownership for Chase Dollander. I'm getting 14. I do have him higher projected than Eduardo Rodriguez, who's going to be much higher owned. So I guess that's the biggest cosign I can give to Chase Dollander today. And we're not getting any hand builds today because the video is already incredibly long. Eduardo Rodriguez, $7,800 salary for him. But I appreciate the kind words, Rat Boy. Wish you had a different name. I hate calling you Rat Boy. It feels like I'm insulting you. Eduardo Rodriguez, to me, a guy that I would fade fully. 36% owned by the field. I'm getting 27. I think the Mets side looks more appealing. I think Rodriguez himself at 7,800, it's not popping at all in my data. I'd be much more inclined to go against him. And Anthony K, like we talked about, not very good. I would not play him. So even though it is only a 3-game slate, really to me, 2 pitchers that look good to decent, 2 pitchers that are playable in Vasquez and Dollander, and 1 pitcher in Rodriguez. I just don't get why the ownership's going there at all. Top stacks for this late slate. It's looking like San Diego 5-man, San Diego 4-mans with Vasquez and Lugo coming up the most. So we are getting Randy Vasquez up top. Hate to see that. Do you think McLean will pop more in my data when I update things in a moment? In a moment after the show. But as it is right now, I get why Vasquez and Lugo are coming up. I would watch, though, for McLean looking better when I update my data at splashplaypodcast.com later today. Mets, your top 3-man stack, 10% ROI there. So Mets 3-man is top, San Diego 4-man top, San Diego 5-man top. San Diego 3-man not too far behind. The Mets 4 and 5-man, it's also not that far behind. The Mets 4 and 5-man's getting a little bit weirder. We're getting Rodriguez with the Mets. That can't be right. That shouldn't be occurring at all. That's got to be a weird anomaly with the slate, I think, because it's supposed to be barred. I know it because I double checked this before. It's supposed to be barred from pairing pitchers and their hitters together. That's got to be a weird outlier with a 5-man Met stack, I think, and a 4-man. Another thing I'll look into. But whatever it is, right now, Mets still popping up with positive ROIs and apparently high enough ROIs to drag the pitcher along with it. In some situations, probably where all the pitchers get blown up would be my guess. Vasquez and Lugo coming up the San Diego 3-man. White Sox, slightly positive ROI in a 3-man. Everything else looks bad. Again, the night slate to me, or the late slate, whatever you want to call it. I think on FanDuel, they're calling it the main slate. It just looks less good across the board. FanDuel, I don't even know, man. FanDuel, Eduardo Rodriguez with San Diego coming up. McLean with KC coming up. That's a negative ROI. FanDuel looks even worse, but that's FanDuel for you. Game by game view real fast here. And I'm talking real fast because we are so behind schedule. All right, we got Arizona and the Mets, 3.2 implied runs. Nolan McLean, I've got the wrong numbers pulled in, but he does have a much better K rate than I'm showing here. 30% K rate is what he's had over the last season plus. So I think, again, McLean, probably your best pitcher on the slate by a decent margin, even though right now these are basically, for you guys that are unfamiliar, these are replacement level numbers for a pitcher. So that's why it's pulling in here, because I didn't have his name correct in the sheet. We'll fix it after the show. We got Arizona at 3.2 implied runs. I think the ownership for McLean is really the main reason you would consider Arizona here. Not great pop. Your top of the order looks the best with Marte, Corbin Carroll. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's mostly McLean here. And really, if he's not, like, if Arizona's not popping with McLean being put in wrong in my sheet, when McLean's put in correctly and he looks a lot better, Arizona's going to come down even more. So I just don't think Arizona's a team for me based on the data. Really, the big reason you go there is the game theory. If McLean gets blown up, 60% of the field gets blown up. The Mets against Arizona here, Eduardo Rodriguez. Rodriguez looks terrible to me, even though we did see some weird outlier edge case where I guess he could pop up with the Mets in a 5-man stack hitting. Mostly because the bullpen for Arizona is that bad as well, would be part of my guess. But how it looks for how the Mets in Arizona are going to fare off today, I'd rather play the Mets side than the Arizona with Rodriguez side of things. I think the Mets have enough good hitters here. 175 collective ISO. That's with Carson Bench putting up no numbers so far versus left-hand pitching. Some dangerous power down the order as well. Vientos is a lefty masher. Alvarez as well has hit pretty well against lefties. Sample size could be a bit bigger for him with only 156 plate appearances. But I think the Mets, decent spot here for them. And the total is not great, so maybe Rodriguez can get there, but Rodriguez is one of those guys where a couple years ago, he at least had strikeout stuff. Now he has no strikeout stuff. He gets hit really hard. 190 ISO versus righties, 170 ISO versus lefties. Just terrible stuff. To be clear, we're not going to cover the full slates every day on video, but they will be available on the site whenever I can pull them in and make it work right. So that's going to be the case here, though. Fucking apparently it's not as easy as I thought today. That's my fault, though, for not double checking for the late slate. White Sox going against KC here. Seth Lugo looks a lot better to me. That said, the White Sox with 4.2 implied runs is a pretty decent total. The weather here, probably the best hitting conditions, 70-degree weather, a little bit of precipitation, but not a lot. That will help the humidity out being higher. The wind's blowing out to left field as well. So some risk, I guess, but Lugo, league average home run rate guy, under league average K rate guy. Nothing special, but the White Sox are pretty bad. Only 3 guys that strike it over league average, though, so I think Lugo's strikeout stuff here, not expecting that to hit a ceiling, but if he does get 5 innings of clean ball, that's probably enough for him to make a winning lineup on this particular slate. And also to probably get the win, too, for KC. KC with the 5.6 implied runs here going to Anthony K. The KC, that's a really high run total for a team where nobody's got that big pop. But the fact that they don't have any monster home run hitters makes you think that if they are going to get there, it's probably from hitting around the order more, getting guys on base, driving them in kind of stuff. So for KC, I think your 5-man stacks more appealing than going to the one-offs and the small stacks, but the ownership is there a lot for the Mikhail Garcia, Bobby Witt, Pasquantino, Sal Perez portion of the lineup. It's hard to critique KC given how high their total is. That's a lot of ownership, though. And like the way you want to play them, I think, is inherently playing more of the stack as opposed to trying to capture a couple home runs, a couple outlier guys. And Bobby Witt's ownership, I still think, is like crazy. Much the same way Aaron Judge is on the early slate. Colorado, 3.4 implied runs going against Randy Vasquez. Vasquez, like we talked about, terrible strikeout stuff. But in this matchup with 6 guys that strike it over league average, not in Colorado, bad park shift for them. Can be a spot where Vasquez gets through the game, picks up a win, maybe puts up 5 innings, hopefully a few strikeouts above average as well. But he really is a terrible pitcher, besides limiting contact decently. Even then, that might be an unfair thing to say. 1.4 whip is not great. 14% K rate is really bad. 2.8% on run rate, not that bad. Hard hit rate at 32%, not that bad. The ISOs could be worse at 140 and 155. Look, I think Vasquez sucks for what it's worth, but if you don't play the chalk, if you don't play McLean, you don't play Lugo, who do you play? It's Vasquez, it's Dollander. Chase Dollander, like we talked about here, think just a under league average guy, which we'll update when we get off the show here. For how San Diego looks with 4.8 implied runs going against Dollander, They're also pretty decently owned, especially Tatis at 41%. But Laureano, Merrill, Tatis, I think that trio looks the best up top. Machado, I don't mind. Cronenworth down the order, I don't mind. Sometimes pairing that 9 hitter with the top of the stack can be a thing that works out because you get extra at bats, and then the 9-hole guy sometimes creates at bats for the top of the order guys. Obviously, they all get at bats created when guys get hits, but in particular, there can be that direct correlation in the same inning. Yeah, I mean, look, I think Dollander is a better play than some of the bottom 2 pitchers, but San Diego, to me, I think I'd rather play the stack than play Dollander. And that is your late slate. Let's go to my top win rate, guys, real fast for this. McLean, number 1 at 60%, and that's with me pulling the data in wrong. So that's going to look a lot better. McLean, if I had to guess, will probably be like a 75% sim win rate guy, given the fact he's the only dude in the slate that actually gets strikeouts. Seth Lugo at number 2, 54% sim win rate, Fields at 45%. Tatis, 42% for me across 100,000 contest sims, Fields at 41%. Jackson Merrill, Randy Vasquez, not that far behind. I think Vasquez really getting dragged along by the expectation of the Padres winning that game. And then on FanDuel, okay. FanDuel, we got Tatis, 50%, Fields at 36, Merrill at 47% sim win rate, Fields at 30, Mikael Garcia, 46%, the Fields at 43, and then Bobby Witt looks over-owned on FanDuel as well for me, 51% owned by the field. I'm only getting 43. All right, let's go back to Stokastic, last stage of our journey. One more ask, guys. Please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It is really a bitch to do both slates in one video, but I said I was going to do it, and I'm doing it here. But again, guys, it means a lot for me here. I'm just one dude showing you I work as best I can every day across the MLB, across the NBA. MLB, look, I could have been a little bit tighter today on the night slate. I fully admit that, but I still do the work as best I can. And really, things like this, I hate fucking having data wrong and shit. So you can guarantee I'll tighten it up for the next time out. But I'm still here doing the work as best I can for you guys. So please reward that faith by hitting that like button and subscribing back. Check out Stokastic as well. All their data, all their tools, 15% off with the promo code SPLASH. This very screen you are seeing here, the Sims tool, get it for yourself over at Stokastic. Night after night, showing you the best lineups without having to rely on a YouTube video and pausing it. Get it for yourself over at Stokastic, 15% off with the promo code SPLASH. And of course, my site, splashplaypodcast.com. That is where you want to be if you want to see everything I've showed you here on screen today. Get a discount to Stokastic through there. You could also get my own data cheaper than you get it through YouTube. $40 a month for VIP, $20 a month for the Squirt Squad tier. If you like what I'm doing, please support it. Sign up for VIP in particular if you can. But I recommend getting monthly. You can go weekly too if you want to pay a little bit more. But basically, check it out for yourself, and you'll do better in DFS and betting if you use my data. I think that's a guarantee. I'm not going to give you money back because I don't know what you're doing. But if you listen to what I'm giving you and you actually use the data intelligently, you will do better. Same thing for Stokastic. That's how all this stuff works. All right, your top ROI lineups for this late slate. Stokastic data here, no interference from me. McLean and Dollander coming in together. So shout out to all the Dollander fans out there. Sal Perez, Murakami from the White Sox. Willie Castro, Colson Montgomery. We're getting a White Sox 2-man stack here. Bobby Witt, Sterling Marte, Isaac Collins, and Lane Thomas. So a KC White Sox 5-2 stack here. A lot of money left on the table too. $4,500 salary. So we are in the most extreme version of NFL showdown salary, it looks like, for Stokastic today, where they're letting you play real cheap lineups here. Nolan McLean at number 2. Anthony K makes this one. Yikes. Francisco Alvarez. It is a White Sox Mets 4-3 build. Murakami makes it. Chase Meteoroth makes it. Colson Montgomery, Francisco Lindor, Luis Robert, or Robert, depending on what his name is. Mickey Moniak, and Luis Angel Acuna. Number 3, you have a White Sox Colorado 4-2. McLean, Dollander, Hunter Goodman, Murakami, Metroth again, Vargas, Bobby Witt, Fernando Tatis, Mickey Moniak, Andrew Benintendi. Number 4, it's a White Sox 5-man. So much White Sox. I am surprised by this. Nolan McLean, Randy Vasquez, Sal Perez, Lennon Sosa, Chase Metroth, Miguel Vargas, Colson Montgomery, Corbin Carroll, Fernando Tatis, Andrew Benintendi. And at number 5, you have McLean and Dollander again, Hunter Goodman again, Murakami again, Ketel Marte makes this one. Finally, not Metroth. Colson Montgomery, Francisco Lindor, Luis Robert, Mickey Moniak, Brenton Doyle. In this 3-2-2 Colorado White Sox Mets build. Similar builds, I feel like, on the top for Stokastic for the main slate and the early slate, whatever we're calling them. For your top ROI players, it's Acuna, number 1, 8%, not the good Acuna, but the White Sox Acuna. Benintendi, number 2. Metroth, number 3. Dollander, number 4. Dollander, all right, so Dollander getting some support from Stokastic. Stokastic really loving those mid-tier pitchers lately. Lennon Sosa, number 5. Colson Montgomery, not too far behind. Edgar Quero, not too far behind. 3-man stacks. White Sox have a positive ROI. Everybody else is negative, but the Mets and Arizona not too far behind. 4-man stacks. White Sox got the highest ROI. KC and Arizona at number 2 and 3. 5-man stacks. Positive ROI for the White Sox. KC and the Mets, number 2 and 3. Okay. Overall exposures for your 7 o'clock slate. We got McLean at 67%, Field 64. So Stokastic saying even though he's mega chalk, play more McLean. Bobby Witt 50% for the field. They're giving you 57. Bobby Witt coming up a little bit above the field here, even though he is mega chalk on both FanDuel and DraftKings. Murakami, you're getting him in half your lineups, 52%. Fields at 19. He has had massive pop so far. Lugo's not giving up crazy pop, so could be tough for him. Chase Dollander, you're getting in almost half your lineups. Fields at 13. It's a massive stand on Dollander. And Colson Montgomery at 45%. Fields at 13. Carroll at 41%. Those are your next up guys. Your highest leverage plays across Stokastic's top 150 for the 7 o'clock slate. Dollander, number 1, 35% more in the field. Murakami, 33% more in the field. Colson Montgomery, 31% more in the field. Medrath, 24% more. Benintendi, 20% more. White Sox, like crazy. This is a massive White Sox stand. Stokastic loves those dumpster dive stacks. Like, I think there are some good hitters for the White Sox, but like the whole 5-man for the White Sox being that much above the field is crazy to me. You are massively fading Seth Lugo, which is not a surprise with how much they like the White Sox. Negative 38% leverage on Lugo. He's going to be 44% owned by the field. Very clear way to get different from the field from Stokastic today. Manny Machado, negative 21% leverage. The field's at 29%. They're giving you 8. Gavin Sheets, negative 21% leverage. You're barely playing him. Only one into the top 150 lineups for Gavin Sheets. Vinny Pasquantino, negative 17% leverage on him. Only 12% exposure in the field's at 29. And then Jake Cronenworth, negative 14% leverage. 2% exposure and the field's at 16. Big fades though. Big stands by Stokastic on that late slate. That much I can tell you. All right, 1 hour, guys. 2 slates in. We did it. Splash plays of the day. I don't know, man. I'll give you guys, I'll do the best I can to give you guys them to close out the video. Before I do though, one last ask, hit that like button and subscribe. It is 1 hour of mind bleeding kind of content here of going through all these various games together and different slates, but we did the best we could here. I'm always gonna do the best I can for you guys for the MLB every Monday to Friday, for the NBA every Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. Of course, that's coming up today, even with tanking season going on. We're still doing the work there. Of course, the results hopefully speak for themselves. I get things right that other people don't. Across the MLB, across the NBA, there's some things I get wrong too. It's how the nature of this is gonna go. But still, I feel really good about the work we're doing here. Show up and hopefully get some value out of it by hitting that like button and subscribing every day. Well, don't subscribe every day. Subscribe once and hit the like button every day, I guess. Check out Stokastic too. All their data, 15% off the promo code SPLASH. You guys know, link down in the description. Use the promo code SPLASH when you sign up. You get 15% off everything. Weekly, monthly, even yearly packages. So check it out for yourself over at Stokastic. And last but not least, in fact, the most important, my site promo code not existent there, but you can save $10 relative to YouTube because YouTube, you pay $50 a month to get my VIP tier. It's $40 a month at splashplaypodcast.com. It's $25 a month for my Squirt Squad tier here on YouTube. It's $20 a month at my site, splashplaypodcast.com. So right now, the biggest way you can save money and get yourself better DFS lineups is going over there, getting pair my data with Stokastic, pair it with SaberSim, pair it with the Solver if you really want to play an old school optimizer. But use my data with it. You'll do better in DFS and prop betting too. I've heard a lot from our guys playing parlays every day off data. It's not even my intent, but they're doing well with it. So that's all I can offer you guys is you go over there and you'll do better. And I promise it. Just don't ask me either worse. Splash plays of the day. We got for the main slate, your 12 o'clock slate. It's the Cincinnati stacks, 3-man, 4-man, 5-man popped up the most for me. I still like the Detroit 5-man, like the Detroit guys overall, Carpenter, and also Green, I would say the most out of that group. But I think that's where my early stuff is going. Pitcher-wise, Flaherty and Weathers are your obvious plays. The field's going to be there. They're the ones that I think you should go to first. But if you're not going there, going Meyer, rolling that dice, rolling the dice a little bit more with, not going to say Abel. Loader, I would say you could roll the dice with too. And then for the late slate, top stacks, San Diego for me. The Mets, not too far behind it. Really, those two are my clear ones. I'd be lower on the White Sox than Stokastic is, but they love them. I got White Sox 3-man's the positive ROI. And then for top pitchers, McLean's going to look better when I fix the data. Lugo, those are my top pitchers for that slate. Hope it works out, guys. I am going to do the best I can to get lineups in now for the main slate. Make sure to gamble responsibly, guys, even though it is always money time on this channel. Follow me at Chris Spags, on this channel at Splashlight Bets, where I'm doing the best to give you guys every possible edge I can across the MLB, across the NBA. And shout out to all the sickos that are going to play both slates today, because you are the strongest amongst us. I'll be back at 2 p.m. for the NBA, guys. I will see you there. Enjoy your days. Good luck. If you have any questions that are not player either ors, that data is on the site. If you have any questions about what I'm doing here, hop into the Discord too. Happy to answer them too. But I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck, and bye-bye.